Hello, I'm Dr. Dobie Moser, and I'm happy to be back with you for our Marriage Minutes video series. And this is our fourth session, and the theme and the seed I'd like to plant is called 10-minute touch. And, the idea of just 10 minutes and what can be done, as I was reflecting on this, you may realize, I find it amazing, there are now smartphones that can do an entire charge in less than an hour. And in fact, many of them in 15 minutes can charge over 50%. There's an initial jolt that helps the phone start again. I say that because I'm amazed at how many people I see walking around with cords and things always available to make sure their phone always has battery life. And it gives me the reflection of, I wonder how they are charging up their marriages. And the idea of 10-minute touch actually comes from a land far away and a time long ago. As a college student, I played tennis in college at our school, and I taught tennis at a camp and resort in Canada for 5 summers, my 4 college summers and 1 thereafter. And it was a wonderful experience. And each Saturday night, I would go in, the first 3 years by myself, the last 2, Lisa and I were married. I would go into Mass on Saturday nights and would go to Mass and then go back to camp. The nearest town was 30 minutes away. And the same priest was at this church every summer. It's the only time it was open. Father Jim Mason, a wonderful Redemptorist. So we got to know him over the course of those 5 summers. And when we had our 3rd child years later, we got a card in the mail, and I came home and my wife said, "Hey, we got a card from Father Jim." And we were both excited. We opened it and read it, and it was lovely, and it was an update on his life and a beautiful congratulations note. And then he finished with a PS that was puzzling. In his PS, he said, "Spend 10 minutes every day touching each other." And my wife said, "What do you think that means?" Now, I'm a guy, I'm in my late 20s. And I said, I love Father Jim. He is a very wise man. 10 minutes touching each other. What a great idea. She said, "It's not just about that." I'm like, "Babe, why do you always have to add more to things? I think we both know what that's about." And she said, "Father Jim is a wise man. I know there's more to it than that." So she slowed me down and made me think, well, what is he really saying to us with this idea of 10 minutes touching each other? And here's what that grew to be in our lives, in our marriage. Picture this. We have 3 children. At the end of the day, you come in and you go into the kitchen and the sink is filled with dishes. There are things out on the counter, and you just look at everything that needs to be done and say no. And you walk away. For some reason, you go into the laundry room. This was not a good idea. When you go into the laundry room, you see piles of clothes that need to be folded, others that haven't been washed yet. You check to see what's in the dryer, and you see just work in every direction. And then you go into whatever area you go to in your house or your residence. So you see all the bills that are piling up, the mail that's not been opened. And now you can see why at that time, after 3 places, and it can feel, frankly, every room in our house can feel this way, you want to just sit down, veg out in front of a computer screen, a TV screen, and just check out. Because everywhere you look, there's more to do. And what Father Jim taught us with that note of 10 minutes touching was sometime during the evening, set everything aside. It's not a time to do dishes. It's not a time to be on the phone. It's not time to be on the computer, to be watching something online or on a TV screen. 10 minutes, focus completely on being with the other person. And literally, Lisa and I had to intentionally say we were going to try this because we loved him and respected Father Jim and his faith so much. We said we owe him that, and what a gift he gave us. When we spent that 10 minutes, now sometimes it was taking a walk together, having a cup of tea or coffee together. It was when Lisa was pregnant, me massaging her feet. I'd never ask you to touch my feet, definitely not. But there can be many different ways that 10 minutes can be expressed. But what he reminded us was take 10 minutes, setting everything aside, focused only on each other. I am convinced in my work with couples and trainings that it's rare, it's extremely rare to ever have a couple that wanted to grow apart, that wanted to get a divorce, that entered into marriage thinking that their marriage wouldn't last. That doesn't happen. What does happen is step by step, all those things that pull us apart, that require our time, our attention, our energy, our emotional awareness. And when we give it everywhere else, it is dispersed and we're not available to give it to one another. Father Jim's wisdom had a second point that taught us both, and it was this. Take 10 minutes every day and give it to the Lord. Reflection, prayer, reading scripture, sitting silently and listening to what God is asking of us. So it ended up, he only said 10 minutes touching each other, but it also helped us see we need to open our hearts at least 10 minutes every day to allow God to touch each of us. And what a gift he gave us. And again, a wonderful and wise priest that taught us so very much. So when you have your coffee chat, we have a coffee chat question each time, one-on-one. Here would be a simple way to check in with each other and be fully available. And it would be this. The questions, how are you feeling? What do you hope to do today? And how can I help? I know those sound simple, but just opening ourselves up and saying, how are you feeling? And paying attention and listening with our minds and hearts to whatever that answer is. And then, what are you hoping to do today and how can I help you with that? It's just a simple day-to-day expression of helping each other, supporting each other, of loving each other in very specific and active ways. So our 3 marriage-building habits around this theme of the 10-minute touch. The first, fairly simple. Identify the time and way that you will have your 10-minute touch every day. Specifically, you need to name it and help each other follow that. Because if not, it can just bleed into everything else going on in your life, and all of a sudden it didn't happen. So name the when, name the how. I got to tell you, one of the things that you want to be ready for, 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes almost immediately, because you realize how much you want and love being together. So name that 10 minutes, where and how. For you, take a walk, have that cup of coffee, but name it and do it. The second would be this. Identify one older couple that you love and respect and admire, and ask them about their marriage. What do they do to love and serve God and one another? I have learned over the years that couples that love being married and love each other, it's like the light under the bushel basket. They can't hide it. You can see it in how they treat with each other. You can see it in their tenderness and kindness. Well, when you see those couples, it's a great opportunity to turn to them and ask them, hey, can you tell us about your marriage? I promise you they will be so excited that you asked, that they will have no shortage of ideas and ways, and an added bonus, they will then become very interested in supporting your marriage. And Lisa and I have been blessed with so many couples along the way that we saw that, we got over the awkwardness and asked the question, and now we have lifelong friends that we are still in touch with to this day. And then the third part of Father Jim's wisdom, identify the time and space that you will give 10 minutes to the Lord every single day. It can be sitting in a certain chair, in a prayer area. It doesn't have to be large or fancy, but a specific time and place that you are giving yourself to God for 10 minutes No distractions, nothing pulling you away, but opening your mind and heart to where God is calling you to be, what God is calling you to do. I don't know what that will be, but I can promise you, God is with you. God will walk with you. God will lead you to where you need to go. But we have to give God that time so that we can find out what that is, where it is, and how to get there. So give that 10 minutes, 10-minute touch with your spouse, 10-minute touch with the Lord, and allow yourself to go where God leads you through that touch. Peace be with you.